All right, so I am gonna quickly unbox the Betterpress. I'm not gonna do a really in-depth look at it because I know other channels have done that. We're just gonna open it up and then we're gonna use it to create some fall themed cards. But I wanted to just quickly show you guys what was in the box in case you were curious. Yeah, so let's quickly do that. Oh, I opened it upside down because why not? And I think that's, oh, and the paper. So that's pretty much everything that comes in the box. All right. So in the box, you get paper. It comes in 3 colors. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that, but we will look at these more when we actually get into making the cards. You also get a plate that comes with the press system, some really low tack tape, and the black ink that is specifically made to go with this system. Sorry, I just dropped that, guys. It's kind of loud. And I'm just gonna open this up so we can take a quick look at all the stuff that's in here. So this does work with a manual die machine. I don't know if it would work with one of the automatic machines. I probably wouldn't try. I'm just going to use my Big Shot with it because that's what I have for a manual machine because I kept that. Oh, it's a piece of cardboard. Yeah, so this is the plate that comes with it. And then it's very, very beautiful. And it has 2 sentiments. So it's, I think you are my favorite person. To my favorite person. To my favorite person. Yeah, it's just that favorite comes with an O or without, or sorry, with a U or without a U, because as a Canadian, I need the U to spell it properly. And of course, Americans do not. So that's just if you have however you spell it in your country. And then they get the little leaflet that kind of tells you how to use the machine and everything, what comes in it. And then the machine, well, I'm calling it a machine, although, I mean, I guess, well, it's not really a machine necessarily, but it just kind of presses the paper. So that is everything that comes inside of the Betterpress. And yeah, let's get into making something. All right, let's jump right in. So here are the 3 colors of that cardstock. There's porcelain, bisque, and pebble in that order, kind of from the right to the left there. And I am going to use, I think that I grabbed bisque. It's kind of a off-white color, and I felt that that kind of went better with the cards that I'm going to create. And I am so sorry, you guys. It still has a little bit of a jiggle in my videos. I didn't realize that the table legs weren't quite touching the floor. We had to do some stuff with my desk, and I think that that's why it's doing this. So I was editing this, and I saw that, and I was like, what the heck is going on? So my husband just came in and fixed it, but there is going to be just a touch more movement in this video than intended, so I really apologize for that in advance. So I cut down some Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. That's what I'm going to use to back my card panels. And then I brought in the, I believe it is bisque because it was the middle cardstock. Then it's just kind of a cream colored cardstock, a little bit off white. Just because I thought that that kind of lent itself more to my design for this. But you get 5 A2 sized sheets of each color in the Spellbinders Betterpress in that little box that we just opened. Sorry, my cat's attacking my hand while I'm trying to voice over to you guys. So yeah, I used the bisque for that. And then I cut this down. So I cut my Neenah down to about just under an inch smaller, and then I cut my bisque cardstock down to I believe just smaller than that. You guys know I eyeball my cardstock. I always try to give you measurements, but it's like I eyeball it, so it's so hard. And then here Ember is just double checking my little rectangle that I'm drawing on the cardstock. So I chose to draw a rectangle for this part so that I'd kind of have an idea of where I wanted to paint. You don't need to do this. You could freehand it if you wanted to. And this is just a mask out of a stencil set that I have. It's the Slimline, mini Slimline dies, or sorry, stencils from Simon. And I just used one of the masks to kind of eyeball this. And I did 2 different sizes. So I did 2 of them with this mask, and then I did one where I just kind of measured out just over an inch. I think I did 1.25 inches. To kind of get a feel of a different size. So you'll see that the painted boxes on them are a slightly different size. And then I brought my T-square ruler in just to make sure that my lines were straight. I'm going to erase these lines, but it doesn't really matter simply because I'm using acrylic paint to go over top, so it will cover up the lines. So it doesn't really matter, but I chose to make 4 cards. And I used the plate that came in the Spellbinders set. I have actually bought a few more plates since I purchased this, but I thought it would be kind of fun to experiment our first time with the Betterpress plate that comes in the box, so that if you bought this, you could easily make some cards. And this is just like one idea you could do. People have tons of ideas out there that you could try, but this is kind of like my version. And I wasn't sure what was going to happen. You know, it's always a little bit exciting when you get a new tool. I guess I could call it a tool rather than a machine. When you get a new tool and you kind of get to play with it and see what it will do. And I really wanted to see how it would lay on top of acrylic paint and darker, because I chose to go with a jewel toned palette. These are just some latex paints that I have. My husband bought me this beautiful 48 set for Christmas, I think 2 years ago, and I don't use it as much as I should. I should paint more. I don't know. It's one of those things where like you just need more time in the day sometimes. So this is red. I did purple first. So the 4 colors I used were deep violet, hooker green hue permanent, Alizarin crimson hue permanent, and Phthalocyanne blue. So I'm just going to show you 2 of them. I'm really going to show you one of most things. And I used a 3/4 inch flat brush to kind of do my squares, or my rectangles, I guess they would be. And I wanted brush strokes. Like if you wanted this to be a bit neater, you would probably paint it differently than I'm going to, but I love texture. I just think it looks so neat. So I intentionally am using strokes in different ways. I'm like adding some dry brushing. So keep that in mind. If you want it to look smoother than what I am doing, don't do brush strokes in multiple different directions. I am intentionally adding more texture to this. So just keep that in mind. And with the purple, the deep violet paint, I actually didn't know if the black would show up. I really hope one day, I don't know if this is possible, you know, it's just one of those things, but I really hope one day they bring out an ink, Spellbinders brings out an ink that is like white pigment or a very, very pale color that could go over top of dark colors, because I think that this design with that dark purple and dark blue would look stunning if the Betterpress could have put like a white pigment ink. And not that I couldn't have tried with my pigment ink. I wanted the first time we kind of played with this to be, you know, a little more straightforward. So that's kind of what I'm aiming for. And I did kind of have an issue with the purple background. You won't see it until we're closer to the end because it's kind of hard to tell until you see it up close. But I chose to run it through twice to see what would happen. So on every other one of these, you're going to see me do it once. You saw me, I stuck my piece of cardstock down to the platen, which is the top piece. And then I ran it through my Big Shot with the plate and the sentiment already in place where I wanted them. And I did this same thing for all 4. The only thing that I did do different, and I'm going to show you this green one so that you see what happens. The only thing I did different is I ran my purple piece through twice because I wanted that black to be darker. So you'll see that it did work, but the bottom shifted. So it's not perfectly lined up. It's not a vast shift, but it did shift. So you can see that there's like a touch of ghosting on the bottom. Not enough that I thought that it justified being thrown out, but you can see it. Like if you know to look for it, you would see it. I don't know if you would realize it if you received this card and you didn't see the other ones. Like I don't know if it would register, but it is there. And then see here, this is what happened. My green paint, because it was the last panel I painted, wasn't quite dry. And I didn't realize that. So the little sentiment plate just kind of lightly stuck in the paint. Didn't hurt the card, didn't hurt the plate. Nothing happened. It's just that I had to remove it from that cardstock. So that's all that kind of happened there. But I just wanted to show you that because this is the first time I've used this, right? So we're kind of experimenting a bit with what the heck we're doing. But so you can see between the purple piece that's sitting on the bottom there and the blue piece sitting kind of up above it, the purple one's vastly darker, and that's only because I ran it through twice. So when I hold them up in the end, you'll see what I mean when you see that it didn't quite line up. You're going to see what I mean by that. But again, it's a learning thing. Like, so maybe you don't run it through twice because the problem is that you'd have to add more ink to get it to be darker. So I should have probably just left it alone. I was just curious what would happen, right? Like I have that kind of mind, like, well, what if I do this? What would happen, right? So I tried, and I did fumble a little bit, but I think it turned out okay in the end. And then I wanted to, so obviously I intentionally did this because I'm making cards, but I chose to go with a craft base and craft pearls just to kind of add a little bit of a vintagey, more fall look to these jewel tone cards. And I thought that would just be fun. And it's kind of fun to use a different color than black. I do tend towards black. It is kind of my go-to for matting things because I like how it looks. And it would have matched the ink color, so it would have worked fine. I chose to go with more of a brown, more crafty color. And there are other ink colors. I believe that so far there are 4 sets of 4 out. For the inks. And of course I own 3 sets at the moment. The 4th one's sitting in the scrapbook store for me. I just haven't made it to the store. Because I think that this is going to be a really interesting thing to play with. And then, we had a bust of different cardstocks. It did a beautiful job on this cardstock. Sadly, because I have so much paint, it's kind of hard to tell, but in person, it's just stunning. It's just a little bit difficult to see in video, sadly. But that's kind of normal with a lot of, glitters or embossing and that kind of thing. It's difficult to see it on camera, but it's quite pretty in person. And then I decided to mount the painted pieces with my Big Mama foam tape. And it's super thin. It just gives it a little bit of dimension, and I just love how that looks. And then it kind of holds up that twine that I've done as well. And then I'm just going to kind of adhere everything together at this point. Like these were, other than the fact that I made 4 not really time-consuming cards. Like I put some paint down, I did the Betterpress, and the Betterpress is instant. Like unlike foiling that you kind of have to, there's a little bit of wait time, right? Like you wait for the thing to warm up and then you put your plate down and you wait for that to heat up and you have to, there's this waiting. With this, you don't do that. Like you just ink it up and go. So it's really neat that way. I had some pretty fun with this, and I have so many ideas. You guys, so many ideas. I got the leaf plates and I got the butterfly plates. You wait, there will be many a card coming. But I kind of wanted to try something. I don't know if these are simple, but something a little less in depth for the first one, just to see what it would do. How did it turn out? What did it look like? Did it work? Would it go on top of acrylic paint? So it was just kind of like a learning experience, and I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm going to mount these on those pieces of the Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. And then of course, we're just going to adhere them right onto their white base. So we just kind of have a few layers. I just like how that looks. And my glue is finally almost empty. I know I say that almost every video, but it was actually sputtering on this second panel here. So hopefully it's actually almost done, and I get to break out my new one pretty soon. And I chose to bring in some Cafe au Lait pearls just because I thought that once again would just tie it in a little bit more with that fall feel. I know that they're not quite the right colors for fall, but I don't know. I was having fun with my color selection. I kind of just chose jewel tones because they kind of make me think of fall. So I kind of had more fun with that color palette, but you could literally have done this in any color palette you want. You could have done pastels. It's just that feels more Easter spring to me. So I kind of tried to choose something that would be more fitting to kind of the season that we're going into, which is mind-boggling. You guys, September's almost over. How did that happen? I know they say as you get older, time flies, but sometimes it's just shocking. Where did 2023 go? I'm baffled. I don't know. So I did add a couple of pearls to each card in the same place. This would be a perfect gift set to give somebody, as just kind of a fun thing to send to other people. Because it just, it's just kind of a sweet card set that just says to my favorite person. And then here you can kind of see it on the darker colors. It doesn't do it as much justice, which is too bad, because on these lighter colors, the red is actually semi-transparent, the paint. So you get a little more of a light color to it. And then the green was just a lighter shade of green. So I kind of missed picking a darker shade, but I'm kind of glad that you get both. You have both a light shade and a dark shade. And of course you could, go in here now and grab out your white pencil from Tim Holtz or something and add some highlights, just add different texture. Absolutely you could do that. I just chose to stop here and leave it alone. So here on the top left, it looks great. And then when you get to the bottom right, there's a touch of a shadow. So you can kind of see that, hey, it skipped just a little bit. But that is the cards I have for you guys today. I hope you enjoyed them. Tell me what you think of this. Is it interesting to you? Leave me a like, leave me a comment, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. I do new videos every Monday and Thursday. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now.